Hi, this is Ed from the Artlight channel on YouTube, as well as BitChute and Steemit as well. Here just to talk about the Statue of Liberty and a number of just interesting things that might mean something or they might mean nothing at all. Of course, go out and do your own research and decide for yourselves. But some researchers have stated that the Statue of Liberty has different origins than what is traditionally known, and it means something very different to certain mystic schools in the world. I'm going to go into some of those things here, so let's just really get right into it. So as you all are aware, and I've put in numbers on the screen because some people have said it's easier to understand when I'm doing these longer videos. Perhaps that's true, I don't know, but it isn't that much of a change. As you're all aware of the Bohemian Grove, I'm just going to set some context here to show you that there is a number of things in our world that at least prove the idea that there are mystic schools that exist. Of course, this will be preaching to the other preachers or the choir here, because a lot of you I know share these similar views. So here we have an bird's eye view of Washington DC, and this is the Capitol building, and you can see at the top there is an owl, okay, and it's designed that way as being the literal eye at the top of the pyramid there. It's quite a popular known thing. Of course, you can look into more of this on your own time. Here is the owl itself, as you can see outlined there on the Capitol building. Of course, there was the reptilian in the Vatican, or the reptilian symbolism in the Pope's audience hall, which of course I've made a number of videos about, so I won't go too much into that. And of course, these are well-known things, hidden symbolisms, meaning within meanings, and this is Canberra. This is an original model using a laser in order to depict what they talk about openly on Wikipedia as the parliamentary triangle Canberra. What they don't talk about so much is that the whole design of the roads is set up in a triangle in a wider view, and there's actually another pyramid at the top of the Canberra building itself. So symbolism means something to these mystic schools. Sometimes there are more enlightened reasoning, it's behind the mathematics or something in their opinion, and these stem out of the Enlightenment. Other times it's a more stranger meaning. Of course, that's what the occult is all about, really, is layers within a layers. The surface layer is not necessarily what the highest level of understanding actually means via the symbolism itself. So let's just jump into number 4 here, and we've set some context to just go into the Statue of Liberty itself, because some people say, and you can decide for yourselves, that the Statue of Liberty, who's noted universally as being a woman, Lady Liberty, is actually a masculine symbol, and this actually has masculine features. You might think that's outrageous. I did when I first heard about it as well. So just some context here again with the Statue of Liberty there. You can read it on screen. Of course, it's designed by this particular artist here, which we'll go into in a moment, and then we'll take a look at that. So here is a book of the artist in question I'll go into. Just note that sculpture there, who is a French sculptor who designed it. What they talk about basically, and this is another person talking about what is known about the actual artists themselves. What the original artist interpreted the statue to be with the Statue of Liberty is to wear a Fijian cap. Now, what is that particularly as highlighted there? What does that mean? Well, that cap itself, and bear with me, I know this is strange, it's very strange, but it's kind of a little bit complicated, so I have to go a bit slowly in the beginning before I present some of my evidence, although it's quite weak, I must admit, it doesn't mean anything. But the Fijian cap was the original idea for putting on top of the Statue of Liberty. The reason why the Fijian cap was important is because it's a symbol of liberty to the French and a whole bunch of people, okay? The Fijian cap itself. So what is that? Well, here you can see it in Colombia there, and also Marianne, the French symbol, both of liberty, okay? And they're wearing the cap on their head right there. It literally looks like the Smurf cap, except it's red usually, and that denotes liberty, and it comes from this region of, it's the Fijian region, which comes from the ancient world, okay? It was those people that wore these symbols, and that's where the symbol literally comes from. It's not a conspiracy, it's just part of the historical record, and it was a symbol of this, which in the modern age means liberty, okay, and it's worn by a number of different famous people in regards to the idea of liberty. Now, this was the original cap that was going to be worn by the Statue of Liberty there, or at least placed on the Statue of Liberty, instead of what you see now. So we've gone through this. Now let's just have a look, because this is more about the cap, so let's just go to number 3 here. See, in the ancient world, this cap, or the Fijian cap here, is noted as being from this region. And this is important to remember because of this. See, if you describe the Fijian cap here, you can note that this is just straight from Wikipedia. It is the Fijian cap, or the Liberty cap. It is a colonial cap. It's quite soft except for the top. You see it in some places, but it's actually named after the region in which it came from. And here's a famous sculpture here of someone called Attis, who's wearing the Fijian cap. This is a god that comes from the Fijian region. Now, it will be important to remember that name, okay? Because this person will go into some of the history, at least, of this character who's a god from this region. So the cap is so named after literal this individual here, or this is one of the most dominant individuals wearing the cap, at least in antiquity and statue today. Okay, so the Fijian cap, noted for freedom, comes from this individual here, okay? And here is the Fijian cap itself. Now, it's on the coat of arms of many places. It's a very important symbol. As you can see, Attis is wearing it there as well. It's been identified as a symbol for whole hosts of region, including, as I said, France's Marianne, okay? Marianne, etc., who wears that cap and is noticed as wearing it within many historical examples. One of the most famous characters, or at least constructions in France itself. So here is an ancient, older sculpture depicting Attis and the Fijian cap and the Fijian people that wore these types of caps themselves. And here are just some examples here. As you can see, here is Attis, etc. We've just already gone into that one. Hold on, I'll just go on here. So here are, sorry about that, just had to clear my throat. Here are some examples just of tabards, so to speak, and you can see the Fijian cap in the middle there, etc. And here's another one. This is from the United States Senate, and at the top you can see that cap as well. Remember what I said in the occult, just because the symbol is there doesn't mean that's what it means to the inner mystic schools. That is the outer symbolism here. Here's another symbolism, and you can see the Fijian cap at the top of this. Looks like a palm tree there. So here's why. Do you recognize this sculpture here? This sculpture is actually Attis, okay, what I talked about earlier, that was wearing the Fijian cap. That was from this region. This cap was what the Statue of Liberty was originally going to wear. Right, number 2 here, by the way, was originally going to wear that cap, as the artist stated, who made the Statue of Liberty, or at least people heard the artist's intentions there and wrote books on them. The fact is that there's another symbol that this person wears on their head, and that is this, which is literally these halo, or these helios rays from their head. This sculpture here depicts that, because that is the other symbol of them. So you've got two symbols. You've got the Fijian cap, which is known as this individual wears in antiquity and sculpture, and also these rays of sun, which again, this individual wears in antiquity and sculpture, etc. Both of those symbols were adapted by the artist to be used on the Statue of Liberty, but they only went with one. Now, who are they literally talking about? Who is the Statue of Liberty really? And this, of course, is Attis. So if you want to look up Attis on Wikipedia, you'll literally get another sculpture there with those helios rays, etc. This person is very interesting as a god from the Fijian region itself. Let's just go a little bit into this, and we'll have a look here. So some people say, this is a grain of salt, that the Statue of Liberty itself was a construction of Attis. And that's what they're stating here, because of the lineup of all of these symbolisms. The artists themselves having the Fijian cap, Attis is from the Fijian region. He is a god of that region, also known for wearing the Fijian cap as well as these rays from their head, etc. And you have the same sort of symbolism there from the Statue of Liberty. And some people say if you look at the Statue of Liberty's face, it doesn't look feminine, it looks masculine. Therefore, the real idea of what's behind the Statue of Liberty is actually that it is a representation of the god Attis, okay? And that changes the meaning quite a bit when you go into Attis's history there. And remember, a lot of these things that stem, and of course the idea of liberty is good, but that's not the legend of Attis. That's not what Attis was about. So let's keep on going here. So when you look at the face, what do you see? Does this look like a female's face? Or does it look like a masculine face? I'll let you decide that for yourselves, of course. Let's just jump to number 1 here. Try to tie this up quite quickly. This is more of a close-up of the face. Of course, you can pause the screen if you like at your leisure. We'll just go into the background of Attis now. Okay, let's keep on going here if I find my mouse pointer. So this is a very hard name to pronounce. I had to look it up several names. So I'm going to say it once. It's Attis. Apparently that's how you pronounce it. That's the end of that. This was the actual mother of Attis, okay? That is the main point of this. Now, the mother of Attis was actually a hermaphrodite, possessing both male and female sexual organs. Now, I've referenced this in the past. There's always these links. And as you note with the famous Baphomet statue, of course, from later esoteric schools there, Levi, etc., that's about duality as well. Both the male, the masculine, and the female blended together into this shade of grey. That was literally Attis's mother here. And she was a Fijian character here and in mythology, possessing both male and female sexual organs, just like Baphomet actually, who was taken from the mystic circles of the Middle East as well. She's closely associated with the Fijian goddess Sybil here, and her androgyny was seen as symbolic of her wild and uncontrollable nature. So just giving you some background there. The point is, Attis is known for something else. This is the child of that androgynous character there, is actually known for castrating themselves. Therefore, they were born of a mother who was a hermaphrodite, had androgynous features, and Attis, as the son there, fell in love with Sybil, okay, who I'll go into in a moment. But what happened was he was upset, and he literally went away and cut off his male organ there, destroying his masculinity basically. So if it's Attis as the Statue of Liberty, the idea is really from that is of the character that destroyed its masculinity. So here is just the examples here. So it's called a daemon. Well, that's different than the what you refer to in modern Christianity as a demon. The Greeks referred to a daemon in this context as a part of the mind. So did the Romans as well. So what they're talking about here is a part of the mind, I guess. Now you can, not a part of the mind, but in this aspect, but in the mythology, was kind of like a wild character, like a demon, I guess you could say. Initially bore these attributes, and then the son Attis, who went away and literally cut off their male genitalia. Now, what happened to try to say it again, Attis? Okay, apparently that's how you pronounce it. Is they went away and did a similar thing there, and they planted an almond which laid in her bosom, and the almond disappeared, and she became pregnant with Attis. So here is the part where Attis themselves went away and castrated themselves when they were in love with Sybil. It was they couldn't do that. They couldn't be in love apparently, and they went away and castrated themselves by literally cutting off their manhood. Now you can go and look up Attis on Wikipedia and see the history of that and the famous castration, which of course is depicted in many things. Sybil, the person that Attis was in love with, is known to give rise to many mystic and occultic schools, okay? And where they carry torches, etc. In contrast to her public role as a protector of cities, Sybil was also the focus of a mystery cult, private rites, etc. And these stemmed through Europe. And her associates and initiation rites mean that the attendants carry torches with them, and vessels of purification. So it's interesting when you combine this with the Statue of Liberty, who holds up what? A large torch, in reference to Sybil in that rite of passage. Also has many of the characteristics. I mean, the chances of you tracing it back to the exact same region with all the same symbology are pretty rare, actually. But nonetheless, Attis is depicted there in the sky, as you can see in this old relief as well, and Sybil is on the chariot, etc. She's usually seen with a lion, and many of these symbolisms you can see referred to in the Statue of Liberty, at least in my interpretation. Who really knows? Is it real? I don't know. I'm not saying this is real, I'm just saying this is something interesting. So therefore, what would the symbol's underlying meanings be to the Statue of Liberty? Well, it would stand for androgyny, the destruction of masculinity over time, okay? And some people might say we're in that time period now, or it could mean something else. To be fair, Attis also stood for the seasons, the idea of death and then rebirth, these ideas of the so-called sacred feminine and masculine is derived in the mystic schools, stood for harvest as well, and all types of different things. The occult schools, in their belief, if you look into them, many of them believe in duality. So that's why they worship these, or believe in these types of imagery, because they believe in a never-ending shade of grey, the uniting of the masculine and female, or the blending of it together into this kind of hermaphroditic sense, and the destruction of masculine identity and blending it in there. Go out, do your own research. I mean, it's a 17 or 18 minute video. It's very hard to encapsulate all these things. I mean, you need a lecture, right? And probably for that, you probably need to go find someone smarter than me. In the meantime, go out and do your own research. Of course, decide for yourselves. And I just want to point one more thing out before I go. A symbol is what it means to you. Okay, so if you look at the Statue of Liberty and it gives you hope and inspires you, then that's what it means. It's just, it's a piece of copper, it's a massive object, and don't let other people deprive you of its meaning and fulfillment for you, because they designed it perhaps in esoteric circles to mean something different. A symbol is what it means to the people, and the people can take back their symbols from these occultists if that's truly what happened and was designed as such. As I said, there's not really any conclusive proof. There's just really hearsay and some interesting threads there, some interesting dot connections. Is it real? I don't know. Go and do your own research, decide for yourselves. It's Ed from the Outer Light channel, dailyrabbithole.com. And of course, thank you to all of my patrons out there that make this video possible. I was sitting at my desk and I was thinking about my patrons, and I was saying, well, I try to make more content. I realize it's been a while since I posted on Patreon, but everyone that supports my channel makes, I'm trying to, keep on making content, and they are the main driving force behind it, and making this possible, and also being able to put out these videos, and I'm trying to bring up my standard of content as well. Hopefully that's happened. In the meantime, go and do your own research, decide for yourselves. This is Ed from the Outer Light channel and the dailyrabbithole.com. Stay safe, and I'll see you all later.